Welcome back. You're watching TV3 New Day. It's now time for our big issue segment. But we invite you to join the winning spree with Dewa 539 Chop Money. Now, if you don't know about it, here's all the information you need to know. You can collect your Chop Money every morning at 10 a.m. by simply dialing *446#. Select option 2 to play, Dewa 539 Chop Money. Win 20 times your stake with Direct 1, 40 times your stake with Direct 2, 400 times your stake with Direct 3. You pick from just 1 to 39 numbers, so it's easy to win. Don't wait any longer. Just dial *446# or visit dewa.nla.com to play. Dewa 539 Chop Money now. Dewa is for you to try today if you haven't tried it yet. Now, I am pleased to announce that I've got 3 amazing ladies in the studio with me to discuss very important topics today on our big issue. Right opposite me, we have Frances Isiam. For the very first time, I'm meeting her on this show. Frances Isiam is the former CEO of GCM and the National Communications Team member from the NPP. Auntie Frances, how are you?
Thank you. No, I'm fine.
It's great to have you. Also, we have the General Secretary of the CPP, Nanaya Jantoa is here with us. Hello.
That's one of my names, so it means you are new.
Achim.
You can't mention it.
Achimpim.
Jantoa.
Yes, Jantoa. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
You're welcome to the show. And finally, we've got Aisha Al-Hassan from the National Communications Team of the NDC. Now, I'm sure you all know last Tuesday, on the 22nd of August, there was an announcement from the PURC that in line with its quarterly tariff review, there is now a 4.22 adjustment increment actually on electricity tariffs. There have been many conversations about this. There's also a 1.2 increase in water tariffs. Now, the big concern about this has been that the announcement suggests that this increment will not affect lifeline customers. However, traders have said that they are going to push on this increment to their goods and services. That means that consumers would have to pay an extra cost for all the goods and services that they acquire from traders and customers who are non-lifeline customers who are affected by this increase. Also, we are going to be talking about the free SHS. Yesterday here at TV3, there was a national dialogue on free SHS, progress, challenges, and prospects. So our second conversation will be on the free SHS and whether or not it has produced low-quality students. A lot of comments have been passed on this matter on social media. A lot of comments were passed during the show, during the live feed, and so I know that you have so much to say about this. We are going to be talking about these 2 topics today. However, yesterday, we went onto the streets to talk to some of the traders and regular Ghanaians about this tariff adjustment and how it affects them and their relations and cost to consumers at the end of the day. Let's listen to what they had to say.
Prices high, the customers might not even bring us the job, and that's when we are going to lose. It's going to work.
We got prepaid 1 million now. 5 days now, sir.
The prepaid doesn't last after purchase, and we are to expect an increment. We cannot bear this any longer.
Every week, you told 2 million.
We pay so much for prepaid, and so this increment will be a worry to us.
The increment in the utility tariffs. In fact, it is very sad looking at how the economy is going. Right now, Ghana, our economy is in shambles, and people are trying to find their feet every now and then. Businesses are collapsing every day because the previous increment, people are not even able to cope with it. And for you to come back again and tell us that with effect from 1st September, you are going to bring an increment again, at least I think this is serious. And I don't know how things are going to be.
As difficult as it is, there's a need for increase, but it should be reasonable. And reasonable in the sense that it should be within the means of the Ghanaian. Because if you give me a minimum wage of 2 cedis and you tax me 10 cedis for utility, you are asking me to go and steal, to go and pay. So the managers of the economy should not increase it in a vacuum. They should make sure that it is within the means of the Ghanaian. And we should be sensitive to the plight of Ghanaians. Already, people are complaining about economic hardship and that they can't even afford their 3 square meals. So if you are increasing utility, you should have that at the back of your mind. Government should generate more income in order to subsidize some of these things.
The hardship of this country is becoming unbecoming. It's so disheartening. So they should think of it before taking any action. How can you be increasing everything just by heart?
All right, those were some views from people on the streets of Accra on the tariff increment. Frances, you've heard the comments from some of our traders and regular Ghanaians. What are your general comments on this?
I wish my sister Nanaya could have started.
Why?
Because you see, she's been, if I say technical, even though she was
at the
corporate
PRC.
at the PRC, it was her voice we're hearing normally with the announcements. So the structure and build up. Because normally when we have expert discussions, the experts among us should actually lead. But you've asked. So,
Yes, yes.
because you said general.
Yes.
So no problem. I'll say good morning to viewers out there and to all our panelists, especially you. It's been a long while since I saw your face on the screen. Anyway, Nashoko.
Yes.
I will just be very brief. You see, because of this, what do you call it? The automatic review adjustment, or however we choose to put it, it's brought some streamlining, at least in the increment. It's not arbitral as some time ago we used to have it. But when we look at where we are today, globally and domestically or locally, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But for me, I would have actually preferred or suggested that you have lots and lots and tons of industries who should rather be included when they are categorized into, you know, the most, what do you call it? Industries which may have the greater need, and industries whose output to national development is higher. Industries where jobs are created, there must be something, some incentives. But when we talk of industries who, you know, keep on taking out critical forex, I'm talking of the foreign exchange, for instance, out, because most of them here are subsidiaries with their mother companies in their countries of origin. And if they are actually left out of this.
You mean out of the tariff increment?
Yes. In order to promote the trade or business, I find it not too comfortable. And it's good that Lifeline customers are out. But you see, the pressure on the residential, take up, or those who will be impacted a lot by this increment. We just heard the average Ghanaian talking. Even though some successes have been chalked in terms of supply, the supply chain, I believe seriously that as for industries, no matter how much you put, they must be categorized and some of them must be included. That's one side of it. Now, coming to the other side of it, we've had our population increasing over and across time. And the impact on the system itself, it's put the whole system under pressure. I'm talking of the the energy sector, in terms of the power sector. You see, it's put the whole power sector under pressure. In so much as government has done so much over time, we've seen gridco, we've seen the gradual decentralization. We've seen gridco. We've seen clear rules for ECG and others. But the impact of the population means that more will have to be spent in getting, let's say, retooling of equipment, expansion, and so on and so forth. And even though I think our electricity has time to be corrected, supply system has increased to, I think, some 80% or 80% plus. Yes, in recent times, which is good. The basic thing is that what of the 20% also left, they must also come on the national grid. So all these things need money. And again, in so much as ECG tries to make sure that there's a balance, or the PURC, you'll find out that for the illegal people who connect illegally, meaning they're cheating the rest of us, because if everybody was to pay as it is, look at the amount that will be in the coffers of ECG. And let's say ECG owes Ghana Gas, ECG owes VRA, ECG owes the IPPs and so on. So if everybody who is supposed to be in the pay bracket of ECG pays up, especially government, because the biggest, the biggest entity owing ECG is government. And then the illegality, yes, ECG has tried to bring it down over and across time, but they cannot do it by themselves. You see, PURC is a regulatory body. So when the institution goes to them, whether electricity, water, I'm talking of the utility institutions,
okay,
what you realize is that they try to put in the balance, but at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, some adjustments will be made. At times, it cannot be some piecemeal thing. And at times, we think it is a bit too high. But let's look at the reverse. Do we need the power to continue with our day-to-day activity? Or do we stay in our comfort zone? Or should it be static or very minimal, where then we'll have attendant problems? Because if the power is not on, the tariffs too are not on or are minimal. Then now you see, how are we diversifying our sources of energy? Apart from hydro and thermal, nuclear has not gone beyond the primary stage of, let's say, policy formulation, the actualization, the implementation, or the process towards achieving nuclear. We have so much sunshine all year round.
Yes, we do.
How we tap into it? Look, I was shocked in India, in the UK, in Glasgow. When you are on the train going, look at the number of windmills. Windmills, and all it's what is creating or giving energy.
Yes, but you're in power now.
I'm coming.
Let me just ask. I'm glad you mentioned that. So, you know, we have a lot of sunshine, rainfall, etc. Why is the government not tapping into this? What is the government doing about this?
That's what I'm saying. You know, we have the nuclear, they've added it to the sectors in the energy sector. As we talk, it's already been there. But I think we have this atomic energy and so, but right now, I think a nuclear, there's a whole institution and a board just to see to the acceleration of the nuclear energy program. That program has been there after it was instituted by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of blessed memory.
But there was a promise for the presidency to run on solar energy, if I remember correctly.
You see, solar energy.
Why is that not happening now?
And I'm saying that solar energy has been piloted over and across time. And you know that the investment in there is not easy at all. And coming down to the current crisis.
But it's been 7 years. No, piloting for 7 years when you have just 1 year in power.
A journey of a mile begins with a step.
But it's been 7 years.
We need to find out critically from the Ministry of Energy and the allied institutions as to what is preventing the acceleration of nuclear and thereby solar power. So I believe that we need some explanation, because Rome, of course, was not built in a day.
Explanation from who?
I'm saying from government.
But you're the government spokesperson here.
No, I'm not the government spokesperson on energy.
Okay, but you're the government rep on this panel.
Yes, and I'm saying that what are the reasons? I will not have the reasons sitting here. But all I'm looking at is, how do we diversify our sources of energy? We know we're into this nuclear, solar energy programs, but they must be fast-tracked. Speaking objectively, they must be fast-tracked.
I don't think I understand your position.
No, all I'm saying is that
yes,
it has been on for a long time. It wasn't started today.
Yes, for 7 years.
No, and I'm saying that, no, not for 7 years.
What has been on for a long time? Did you have
the Atomic Energy Institute from Nkrumah's time?
Okay,
so now how many years?
That's what you mean.
And I'm saying that we need to find out, is it a matter of the financial resource? Is it a matter of international collaboration to make sure that the appropriate machinery or mechanisms are put in place? So that is a new conversation altogether.
Okay, let me draw your attention to something else. Perhaps you can better speak to that. While you're making a case for the need for the increase, in the NPP manifesto 2020, in I think page 72. No,
I think I did. I've not said I've made a case
for the need for
the need for the increase. I'm rather given reasons
why the increase has become necessary.
Very good.
Okay.
There are two different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the NPP in your manifesto 2020 on page 72, you mentioned that tariffs, electricity tariffs in particular, will be reduced. If paragraph 160, that is.
Don't bother. Don't bother about the paragraph.
So just for the benefit of our viewers.
Okay.
Reduce taxes on electricity to household and industry. So the promise is our government is the first in the history of the Fourth Republic to have reduced electricity tariffs in cumulative terms minus 11% compared to a cumulative increase of plus 265% under the Mahama-led NDC government. But since you came into power, ma'am, we have seen a steady increase, a quarterly review and steady increase. The last increase is the one that has caused a lot of, especially regular Ghanaians, to wonder whether this promised reduction is ever going to happen or we are going to see a constant increase. Why are you not able to fulfill this promise?
Let me quote President Kufuor, former President Kufuor, on coming into government, on the number of ministers. What he said was that when you are outside of the system, the ideal is there. And when we talk of manifesto promises, the underlining word is that it is a promise. But the reality or the actual situation hits you when you come into power. And you know that when there is reality, you have to go according to what is on the ground.
But the reality is, in 2020, you were in the system.
No, it doesn't matter. All I'm saying is that, I'm coming. Nanaya, I'm going to hand it over to you in a second. All I'm saying is that the tariff increases have been necessitated by certain conditions. So
what are these conditions?
No, I've mentioned them already.
Including the IMF?
The IMF conditionality may be key. Maybe, I say maybe.
Is it maybe key or is key?
No, I'm saying maybe key. Because when the tariff increase was announced, they didn't say it is a conditionality, so we have to.
But
no, I'm coming.
But you didn't have to say it.
No, we know, but you're saying it.
You didn't have to say that it was a conditionality.
No, it doesn't matter. The average Ghanaian standard out there may not even know that it's a conditionality of the IMF.
Oh, we know.
No, I'm saying, when I say the average, probably, excuse me to say, not the schooled person.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the person who cares to know. That's why I'm saying that the IMF conditionality, fine, may be a key factor. Meaning government may not have gone to this extent. It may have been lower had it not been for the IMF. But I'm also looking at the reality of the situation. How many IMFs haven't we gone through? 18. So are we saying that we would continue and continue and continue? So I'm just saying that the diversification will be key. You know, we have this biofuels. When you go to some of the industries, some people do what? Create some source of electricity so that these things don't impact on them too much.
Okay, let me.
So let me just wind up finally in one sentence. The government has cogent reasons, or the PURC, as an appendage of government, as an advisor to government on these tariffs, as it deals with the institutions, has cogent reasons for our automatic adjustment reviews and for these reviews. But whatever it is, as citizens, as governments, I would actually recommend that PURC can look at it. If indeed it's better to have the power on, in spite of the increase, Ghanaians can judge. Or if the power should be off, like in times when I'm talking of
I think you've made your point.
Yes.
Yeah, we've made your point. I'll give you more time to talk in a moment. But let's hear from others.
I don't even want to go back to this.
Let's hear from others. Let's talk to Aisha. Aisha, what are your thoughts on this? General remarks on the increase and what traders are saying now, that they're going to be passing on the cost to customers.
Good morning once again, Shoko. You know this whole energy issue we are discussing, a utility issue, especially with the electricity. It started from when the legacy debt, plans were made for the legacy debt to be paid through the introduction of ESLA by Parliament. What did this government do? When they came to power, they decided to take loans using the ESLA as collateral, leaving the debt hanging as we speak. So this whole problem we are facing today stems from the fact that the ESLA levy that we were supposed to take to recover the energy sector debt has been collateralized by this government. And the monies, till date, they can't even tell us what they've used the money for. However, it could have still been avoidable if the MPP had heeded to calls from the minority. You remember a year or two back, Isaac Adongo, Honorable Atuforsen were all over cautioning this government to seek IMF bail. Remember, it was all because they realized we were heading into a ditch. They realized our problem was going to compound if we don't take drastic measures. So if after squandering the loan you took using ESLA as a collateral, there is a debt and situation is getting worse, and you are being advised to head to the IMF, what do? You run there. But they made all the excuses. They have the men, they don't have to go to the IMF, they don't have to seek support from anywhere, they can do it on their own. They threw caution. Just like that. And today, we are suffering for the debt that has been compounded. This debt was supposed to end just, I think, 2 years after after John Mahama left office. It was supposed to end. However, they came and extended it. They came, extended it, and even used it as a collateral. They've squandered the proceeds of ESLA today And we are now going to suffer the consequences. So today, we are being asked to pay for tariff increments that we are already paying for through ESLA. You see, she was saying it may be an IMF conditionality. It may not be it is an IMF conditionality, actually. It is an IMF conditionality that the MPP government proposed, so they would be able to recover more money from the system. And like I told you earlier, it was highly avoidable. Now, you won't believe, since the last quarter of 2022 till date, there has been a cumulative increment of almost about 80% in electricity tariffs. Not only electricity, tariffs in general, 80%. Just a fourth while ago, we saw increments. We were all over shouting, thinking it was going to be the end for the year, probably. But what do we see? We are here again talking about tariff increments. What this means to the ordinary Ghanaian is that if you are paying 1,000 Ghana for utilities previously, that was in 2022, the about 80% increment means you are going to pay 1,800 Ghana cedis for utility. This is sad. And we are now being told Lifeline customers are not part. How many Lifeline customers do we have? Most of those people you call Lifeline customers share meters. Most of the people we call Lifeline customers, they share meters. They don't have meters of their own. And how many people even pay less than 20 Ghana cedis to fall in the category of a Lifeline customer? I'm not sure they may even be up to 10% of the population. Yet, we are trying to make it look like we are being considerate. The poor is still going to suffer because at the end of the day, if I am to pay 20 Ghana cedis, you will pay 20 Ghana cedis, Nanaya will pay 20 Ghana cedis, she will pay 20 Ghana cedis, and we are sharing 1 meter, it would move the price above the Lifeline threshold. And definitely, the cost would come back to us. So where is this Lifeline customer thing coming from? I don't believe in any Lifeline customer having subsidies or being taken out of this whole tariff. You see, Ghana would have been a better place if this government has heeded to the cause of the minority. Whatever we envisioned, whatever we saw, the kind of foresight the minority had to project, to be able to anticipate that such issues are likely to occur if we don't take drastic measures. I don't know if the MPP didn't have that kind of foresight to be able to project or anticipate same, or it was out of pride. And if it's out of pride, they say pride comes before a fall. The pride is now what has brought the fall that we are all going to suffer for. You see, and the most painful aspect of this whole thing is, after the tall list of taxes that we are already burdened with, the tall list of taxes that looks like a marriage list that we are already burdened with, you come and add these new tariffs. You add those new tariffs, and now we have to bear the consequences. These new tariffs, even if the taxes and all the monies that they are accruing would be put into good use, we wouldn't mind. We would have been very okay, because at the end of the day, it will have a positive economic effect on the people. However, these taxes that have been accrued are being found in the rooms of government appointees.
No, we don't know.
They are being mismanaged.
We don't know that.
They are being mismanaged.
We don't know that. Let me talk to Nanaya.
They are being used anyhow.
Yes, now. Nanaya, you are former PURC. What do you make of this new tariff adjustment and increase, and the comments that especially Frances has made since you wanted to interject when she was talking?
I just wanted to help her.
You wanted to help her?
She was struggling.
Okay.
Good morning to your viewers and good morning to everybody, you, yourself, and Aisha and Auntie Frances. And I also send a good morning to Dr. Techi, Yojo Techi of the UGMC emergency, and Dr. Adama, Michael Adam of ENT. These are great doctors. They are doing some very good work over there. I mean, you'll be very surprised the kind of work they are doing. And may God bless you. You see, IMF, the tariff increases is a conditionality. And I'm reading something here, and it is saying that there should be a consistent increase of tariffs so that there will be cost recovery. Cost recovery has always been used, but cost recovery can be sustained if the parameters that are used to increase the tariffs or work on the tariffs are constant and consistent. Then when you reach cost recovery, then you would maintain the tariff at that point. You were talking about the reduction in tariffs. In 2018, 2019, the NPP government reduced the tariffs by 20% as a fulfillment of their manifesto in 2016. But that was a disaster because even abroad, where they have all the resources, the finances, especially in the US, most of these utilities are private-owned utilities. No country reduces tariffs by 20% because once you do that, then it means you reduce the revenue requirements of the utility service providers. Then you create a debt. So when they did that, actually it caused a problem, and they noticed that they shouldn't have done that, and it created a debt situation. But because the ESLA had been encumbered.
So the NPP should not have made that promise for a reduction?
I mean, nobody, I remember when I was in PULC.
So based on what advice did they make this promise?
Because, I mean, they did a lot during those times, and they spoke against tariff increases. And increasingly, I remember I, as the director for PR and external affairs at the time, in all my submissions to the public, I said nobody should use tariffs as a political tool.
So this promise was not founded on any real research?
No, because I don't know how they did it, but once they did that, it created a lot of problems, revenue issues for the utilities.
Did the PURC advise the NPP
I wasn't there. They had kicked me out, so I wasn't there. They kicked me out because they said I was defending tariffs and I was arrogant and all that, but that's it's not part of this conversation. So the 20% that they did decrease actually brought a problem. If we are looking at the tariff in overall, the PURC is saying that the reason why they have increased this one is to reduce cross-subsidization within the tariff structure. Within the tariff structure, you have the lifeline, the residential, the non-residential, then we have the industries. The non-residential is the area where they are talking about hairdressers and all that. Mm-hmm. So the second reason is that they are saying that they have to track and incorporate the changes in the key factors. The key factor they are talking about is the exchange rate, which is key. Because most of the activities of the utilities are dollar denominated. So whenever there is some movement in the exchange rate, it affects them greatly. You're also talking about the generation mix. What are they using? Are they using more gas, more crude oil, more fuel? Then also they are talking about that the utilities are financially viable. My issue here is that in 2022, there was a major tariff review. In the major tariff review, that is where all the parameters are looked at and all the revenue requirements of the utilities are put to bear so that during their interactions with the public, they tell us exactly the amount of money they need for a 4-year term. So as we go through all this, you know exactly what each utility needs to operate. Grid coal, VRA, IPP, all of them. So in a year, you go through all that. You go for public assemblies, you do stakeholder consultations with key. In our time, we used to, when I was in PRC, we used to even meet the media. We had a standing press call. So we meet them, we talk about the issues, we train them to understand what the whole business is about. So after everything is done, after the tariff is given, you are given a reasonable tariff that will be able to sustain you. And you are given an 8% rate of return that is like a profit for you to be able to meet your needs, do other things, pay your salaries and all that. So after a major tariff review, normally there is a halt on the AAF, the automatic adjustment formula. So once there is a halt on it, because it is assumed or it is known that the utilities have been given a certain amount of money, quantum, that should be able to help them to operate. When that is done, then your duty as the PURC is to start monitoring inflows, to see how they are collecting, to see how they are doing their work, to also monitor the various factors that underpins the tariff. So then, when it happens like that, even you might even kick in the automatic adjustment formula as a procedure, but you might not give any increase. That you would say that during this quarter, because of ABCD, we are not giving any increase. You only give an increase when there is a key major change in these factors.
So a tariff adjustment does not or should not mean
it's not always that
it should not mean an increase.
No, when I was there were times we decreased.
It cannot mean a decrease too, because
it's a decrease.
You said that a decrease is a bad idea.
No, a decrease. It depends on the kind of decrease, because before you decrease, you have to look at the situation of the utilities. What is their revenue mark? When we left and we gave a certain tariff, it was a cost recovery tariff. We've gotten to a point of cost recovery, so that even when you are going to do any tariff at all, it will be the factors. So maybe exchange rates has gone down. There's a depreciation of the CD and all that, because we had gotten to a point of cost recovery, but immediately they decrease by 20%. Then it means that you have reduced the financial base of the utility.